Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I am approaching 100,000 kilometers in my Model 3, so I thought I'd make a video. Now I am at 99,000 kilometers exactly. Yes, and this is winter in Germany. I know I haven't been making videos, so it's been a long time and the winter has arrived. It's November now. Now I will drive to Munich, which is about 90 kilometers, and then drive back, so 180 kilometers. And then this week I have some driving, so I guess by the end of this week I will hit 100,000 kilometers, and then I will summarize my ownership experience and all the costs associated and what's going on within the car market in Germany, and what car I'm getting next, or whether I'm getting a Tesla model next, and so on. So let's go to Munich now. Welcome back, everyone. I am at a supercharger. It's a Sunday, and look what I have. I have the milestone of 100,000 kilometers in my Tesla Model 3. Yeah, so it has been 5 years and 3 months exactly to drive 100,000 kilometers. And as you can see, this is the consumption: 159.9 watt hours per kilometer. And I do usually country road driving and autobahn driving. It's mostly high-speed driving, so this consumption is really good for that kind of driving. Alright, I finished charging. I had to rush a little bit, so I didn't want to make the video there. I just had to get on with my day. So just as promised, I will talk about the ownership experience for the last 5 years and some months. So let's break down the 5 years. The first year I got the car in 2020 during the Corona times, and it was, if I remember correctly, September, end of September. And after I got the car, I made some road trips, and then some problems appeared. So if you're wondering what version of Model 3 this is, so this is the first edition of the Model 3. It's the Standard Range Plus, and it's one of the last models of the first version, and then they moved to the next iteration with those LFP batteries for Standard Range Plus. My first problem was in the first month. Actually, the connectivity unit was not connecting to internet consistently, so they replaced it under warranty. And then after that, I don't think there was any major issue. At some point towards the end of the first year, the tail lights had lots of condensation, and then some water built up inside, so they replaced those also under warranty. And then there was a problem in the front seat. The motor was not working well in the front seat, so they either replaced it or recalibrated it. I don't exactly remember. So these were the 3 main problems in the first year. In terms of the driving unit, there was no problem. So that's the general story we'll see. In terms of the driving unit of Teslas, they are very good. And the second year, the front suspension arms started making some squeaking noise towards the end of the second year. So this was a common problem in the early Model 3s. So the grease was drying out, and they replaced the whole front suspension arm unit under warranty. And then they also replaced something in the back trunk. I think it's the springs or something along that line. I was not really informed because it was a recall, so I brought the car for this service of the front suspension arm, and they also replaced those things because it was a recall. Was there anything else in the first 2 years? Yeah, so after 2 years my first tires were gone. So I had two sets of tires, winter tires and summer tires. Both of them worn out after the first 2 years because I was driving a bit enthusiastically in the first 2 years, to say the least, because I was excited about the horsepower and the torque and everything. And that was more or less it. I usually do a service after every 2 years. So after the first 2 years I also did a service. They realigned the wheels and cleaned up the brakes and all the other things, like replaced the air filter and the wiper, and what else? Yeah, I think that was all. After that, in the third year, there were a few more problems. So some of them were car related, some of them I didn't have any control over. So let's go through it. So the first thing was I parked my car somewhere, and it was just next to a house roof, and there was a lot of snow on top of the roof of the house, and they just fell on the roof of my car. So the roof of my car was shattered. It was happening quite a lot in Germany at that time because there was a snow chaos in Bayern. So Tesla was already familiar with it, so they ran probably out of their stock. It took them 2 months to get the parts to replace the roof, but in the end it was fine. They replaced it, and it's like a new roof. Oh, it is a new roof. In the third year also, my windshield had a big crack. I was driving on the highway and a big stone hit my windshield, and the crack was too big, so they had to replace the whole windshield, and it was done by the insurance company. And they selected a garage, and then they did not really replace it with the original Tesla windshield, but it's okay. I think the quality of the windshield that they replaced it with is good. It's actually quieter than the original Tesla windshield, so it's fine. So now the fourth year, the charging port broke in the fourth year. It was just opening and closing without me doing anything, and they replaced that under warranty. There was nothing else, so I also did another service in the fourth year, cleaned the brake discs, brake calipers and everything, and there was no problem other than this charging port. And after the 4 years my warranty was gone. So in the fifth year, after that, a lot of things happened. So in Germany, what happens is that when you have a new car, first 3 years you don't have to do these general inspections. So it's called TÜV inspection. And after the first 3 years I did my first inspection. That was fine. 2 years after that, after the first inspection, you have to do another inspection. So for me that was the fifth year. So when I tried to do that inspection, they failed me the first time because of the rust in the rear brake discs. And then we cleaned up the rust, and when they failed the car, they also gave other recommendations, like, okay, you have to replace a lot of parts of your rear suspension, and also the front suspension arms started making that squeaking noise again. So there was a lot of things I needed to replace. So in the end, we actually had to replace the whole rear suspension more or less the whole thing. Most of the parts were replaced. The rear discs were replaced, brake discs, and then the front suspension arms were also replaced again. So the whole thing was quite expensive. It was about 4,000 euro and had to pay it out of the pocket. So this is the thing, after the first 5 years, expect some big bills if you own a Tesla from that generation. Well, I could also go to a third-party garage, which probably would be 50% of this 4,000 euro, because they're much cheaper. I went to the Tesla service center. So for me, the problem is that so not just for me, in general, the problem here in Bayan is that there aren't many Tesla or electric car specialist garages, so they're still very reluctant to work on Teslas. There are a few third-party garages which work with Teslas, but they have really long waiting periods. In the 5th year, I also had another issue, which was again not under my control. I parked at a supermarket parking lot, and there was another car or a van which opened the door, and the guy who opened the door lost grip of the door, and the door just slammed on the front panel of my car, left front panel of my car. So that had to be repaired. So it was repainted and repaired by a Tesla approved body shop. And while they were doing it, they also found some dents on the camera units in the front. So I also asked them to replace them, so they're also new. The new ones are without the Tesla logo, but it's from Tesla, so it's original Tesla part anyway. So this was another issue which was a little bit difficult to sort out because of all the insurances, because the other guy, he was driving his company van, and then the company had another company which was taking care of the insurance, that was an insurance agent, and then that company had another contract with another insurance company, things like that. So it took a few months, actually 2 months, to figure out how to proceed with the repairs and everything. But that was it. So this is my experience with everything that went wrong with the car. So just to summarize, in terms of reliability, I think the car is reliable, the drive-in unit is quite reliable, the battery system is very reliable, and the problems in those early cars were with these small motors or connectivity units. Of course, there were these mechanical issues with the suspension arms and also with the rear suspension. So those things are actually problematic, but in the newer cars they're much better. So newer Teslas don't have these problems. With regards to the brake disc problems, it's a general electric car problem. So it's because electric cars use regen most of the time to brake, and because these disc brakes are not used that much, they have rust. Now the running cost, in terms of the charging, it was not so expensive in the beginning because I had free charging at work, and charging was quite cheap in 2020 in Germany. The electricity price was below 30 cents in most of the places where you could charge, and there were many places where you could charge for free. And then gradually the public charging infrastructure in Germany improved a lot. A lot of different companies were active in the development in the last 4 years or 5 years, and now it's quite good in Germany, but the prices went really high. So on average, I would say it's close to 50 cents. If you want to get cheaper prices, you have to subscribe to these services that these different companies provide. And with Tesla charging, in the beginning it was also, I think, around 29 cents per kilowatt hour, but now it's time dependent. So during the day it's about 45 cents in Germany, and other times it's cheaper. around 30 cents, 20 to 30 cents. So I was spending in the beginning not even 1,000 euro per year, driving 20,000 kilometers. But nowadays I think per year I spend mostly 1,500 to 1,800 euros. So what's next? I'm going to keep this car for a few more years. That's the plan. I cannot get a good price. I tried to sell the car. The demand of Teslas in Germany is really bad right now, and therefore the prices are low in the second-hand market. And for me, the longer I keep this car, the more value I get out of this car. So I will keep it for a few more years and then I will see. There are some cars I am considering, I can tell you already. So obviously the new Model Y is an interesting car. I am keeping an eye on it. I like the car, like the modifications that they made, except for one, which is the frunk. For me, I need a waterproof frunk, and the new standard model does not have a waterproof frunk. And I will try to see if they release the next iterations of the car with a waterproof frunk. Otherwise, maybe there would be some third-party solutions for this problem. And among other cars, there are of course the Volkswagen cars, for example the ID Polo and ID Cross. So ID Cross is quite interesting for me, and ID Polo is of course interesting, but I want to get a little bit higher sitting position now. And then after that they also would release an electric Golf, and from BMW they're releasing this Neue Klasse, which is the 3 Series, and 3 Series is actually the same class of this Model 3 car, so it would be similar in size. So that would be another interesting car to look out for. So there are these options, so I will still have to decide. But like I said, I will keep this car for a few more years, then I will decide. There are some options. The market is very exciting right now to follow. So that's all for today. I hope it was useful. I hope you got an impression of how it is like to own a Model 3 for 5 years and drive 100,000 kilometers. So with that, I will say goodbye for today and see you in the next one.